Hello there, I'm Rafe Heydel-Mankoo with a brief comment about the guilty plea of Axel Rudakubana, who is the murderer, now we can clearly say, of three young girls in Southport, and also attempted to kill various other girls and also adults. Now, it's a very convenient turn of events for Starmer and Labour. Firstly, that this murderer's trial date was moved to the inauguration date of President Trump, which of course has limited the media's coverage of the story. It's also convenient for the government that, of course, he entered a guilty plea today, which was a complete surprise and has eliminated the prospect of a long trial, which would have put all of the details about this case into the public domain, would have guaranteed national coverage day by day of this story. Now, more suspicious minds than mine might think this is more than just a coincidence, and that it serves, of course, the interests of Keir Starmer and the government not to have this in the public domain. However, it should be said that they do promise to answer questions, and questions need to be answered because even veteran BBC journalists have reported the unprecedented difficulty that they've had trying to obtain embargoed information from official bodies in this case. We must not let this story drop because millions of concerned Britons were shamefully discredited and slandered by the Prime Minister and the government and the media and police as far right for their outrage simply at their outrage at the murder of innocents by the offspring of an asylum seeker. They demand answers. We need to know what Keir Starmer knew and when he knew it. Because if it turns out, of course, that he knew about the past of this man, whilst he was still trying to discredit as misinformation reports about this person being linked to extremism, heads need to roll. Why did it take so long also for the authorities to mention Axel Rudakubana's violent and extremist past? Did they take so long to release information about his copy of Al-Qaeda's terrorist manual, about the ricin poison, etc., simply as a deliberate attempt to discredit a vast swathe of the British public as far right and therefore to squash any and all protest? The public have a right to know this, and the public have a right to get honest answers, because any suggestion of a cover-up will permanently damage public trust in our authorities and whether we're being told the truth about what's happening in this country. But there's another issue here that few people want to address, and it's one that I've long raised, and it's the fact that asylum seekers and their children are more prone to violence and criminality than the broader population. And this is especially the case if they themselves have experienced violence. Now, you can look at a whole range of evidence showing that immigrants who come from troubled backgrounds are more likely to have mental health issues and so forth. But let's just look at three of the worst acts of murder in recent years. We had the Manchester Arena bombing, you will remember. Well, the perpetrator of that was Salman Abedi, who was born in Manchester to Libyan parents who came here as asylum seekers. We have the assassination of Sir David Amess, the Conservative MP in Southend. Now, his murderer was Ali Harbi Ali, who was born in London to parents again who came here from Somalia. And we can, of course, now also add Axel Rudakubana, perpetrator of the Southport massacre. And now, whilst he may have been born in Britain, once again, he was obsessed with the Rwandan genocide that his Rwandan parents fled as asylum seekers. All the evidence shows that there's a clear link here between increased mental issues, increased acts of violence amongst certain types of asylum seekers who have come here from very bad backgrounds, and it affects their children as well. More broadly, the asylum system has imported hundreds of thousands of fit young men, many of whom have seen, or in fact in some cases participated, in unspeakable horrors, and have arrived here in the UK as bogus applicants. And huge numbers of these fit young men in this country are poorly adjusted, they're emotionally dead or stunted, and they suffer from serious psychological issues. Many of them are quite simply evil or depraved. And the same goes for over 1,000 radicalized British-born immigrant offspring who left Britain to fight for ISIS in Syria and have returned to Britain psychologically disturbed but brutally hardened by their experiences, with many of them in fact being murderers, although we don't of course know anything about what they actually did over there. Now, why would any society knowingly import people who fail to become productive members of society, who seem incapable of being rehabilitated, are a burden on our overstretched mental health services, and worst of all, who clearly pose a potential risk both to the safety of individuals and the security of the nation? You know, it's important to understand that the personality, the psychology, and the mental health of those we import to this country and of their children is a major issue for us to tackle. Yet it remains a taboo that few are willing to discuss. In effect, we are importing a huge population of ticking time bombs. Thanks so much.